Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Spake Up Podcast. I'm Shannon Spake. Let's get to it. I'm excited to share the story today of our guest today. Our guest is Roderick Sewell. He is a friend of mine. I met him when I was covering or I guess competing in Ironman events. Here's his book. I'm holding it up right now for those listening on Spotify and other things. So he is now an author. He's writing a book. It's called Iron Will. So Roderick, I'll get into his story, but he's the first double above the knee amputee to finish Kona, the Ironman World Championship. So we're going to get to him in just a second. But first, before we get into the interview today, I want to share a little personal, actually a big personal story with you, something personal about myself. Some of you guys may have heard this story before. Some of you may not. So when I was definitely under 10 years old, probably 8 or 9, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. I know so many people kind of go to school and they used to do the tests where they would run the pencil down your back to see if you had scoliosis. I had it and I had it pretty bad. I spent a lot of years going to a chiropractor. I had to quit because back then, remember, this is in the 80s. Back then, they thought that if you did sports and athletics and all of these things, that it would make the curve worse. So I used to dance. I used to do tap, jazz, ballet when I was a little kid, and I had to stop all of that because of the curve that I had in my back. When I was, I think, 10 or 11, some of the years, some of the years kind of get away from me. It's been so long. When I was about 10 or 11, my chiropractor who I was going to told my parents that it was time for me to get a brace. So a lot of kids who have scoliosis have to wear a brace. They believe that the brace prevents the curve from getting any worse. And especially right before you hit puberty, that's when the curve will really start to get bad. So it was right before I hit puberty. They wanted to put me in a brace. We went to an orthopedic surgeon. Long story short, I was way past brace stage and I needed to get surgery. So I had what it's Harrington rods. I think it was maybe a little bit different form of it. I had those inserted into my back. I think we have a picture of that. So this is what my spine looks like right here. I do have rods on each side of my spine. And those were put in about 1988. I have a huge scar down the entire length of my back. I have a scar on my hip where they did a bone graft from it. And it's funny because I went back, Roderick, I'll kind of come back to him. I interviewed him in 2020 and I brought this up to him and I never even think about my scoliosis. I never think about the scar on my back. I never think about the fact that I've actually even had like massages before where people are like, the massage therapist is like, what'd you have done here? And I almost forget that I had it. And that's because it's just who I am. It's just a part of me. And when I met Roderick and when I meet some of the folks that I met in Ironman who had quote unquote disabilities, you realize that a lot of them don't even realize that they have the disability because it's just who they are. And I realized that I had a connection in that way, obviously not as life altering as something that Roderick has with his double above the knees amputee. But I did realize that having the scar and having kids make fun of me, which they did, also gave me a perspective into finding beauty in things that are different. I kind of wrote this down this morning because I wanted to get it right. I realized that there are people that shy away from their differences and shy away from those disabilities, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes. And there are other people that lean into it and realize sometimes it's painful, but it's also powerful. And maybe those experiences that I had as a young kid being picked on and the scar gave me the ability to see beauty in pain and the ability to find power in things that people might think are weaknesses. And I think that's one of the reasons I fell in love with Ironman is because I was able to meet so many people who found power in pain or found power in things that some people might find as weaknesses. Roderick is one of them. This is me right here. This is my first 70.3. Gosh, I was so tired. That was Raleigh. It was about 95 degrees out. You can go to the next one if you want to, Spencer. We're showing pictures right here. So that's me afterwards. So 2016, I was so excited it was over. I crossed the finish line and I was like, I'm never doing that again. I, of course, did it again 6 more times. I think we've got some more pictures. My kids, look at how little they are. The 1021, that's my grandfather's birthday. They let me pick my number. I picked number 1021, my grandfather, World War II veteran. So I wore that, and that certainly got me through it. I think we have one more from the Ironman stuff. Yeah, that's me. Same shirt I'm wearing right now. So a couple of people, let me explain them to you. So Roderick, who you'll meet in a few minutes, is obviously one of the people that I met. Mike Levine had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He was diagnosed in 2015. He attempted to run the Ironman Kona, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Like literally got chemotherapy on a Tuesday and showed up at the course later that week. He was with Kathleen McCartney, who was a 1982 world champion. They trained together. We lost Mike in 2021. I believe that was the year that he passed away. But he was one of those people that I found that found power in pain, power in what some people might consider a weakness. I mean, I would think chemotherapy is definitely powering through. Mike Ergo, he's going to be on my podcast at some point. He's another person that I met who found power in pain. He lost 29 of his brothers, his soldiers, in the Battle of Fallujah. Came back, suffered from PTSD, drugs and alcohol, found Ironman, and continued to push forward. And now he's doing amazing things. I can't wait to have a conversation with him. Derek Fitzgerald, how about Derek? Cancer survivor, first heart transplant human to finish an Ironman. All pretty amazing, huh? All people that found power in pain. And I want to introduce you to Sarah Reinertsen. So I met Sarah in 2018 at an Ironman event that I hosted. There she is. Pretty badass, huh? She wears a blade, and I remember taking a picture with her. I think we have that picture. And she said to the photographer, she said, make sure that my leg gets in this picture. And I just thought it was so cool that she was absolutely what I just said, found beauty in what some people might find a weakness. Sarah right here, she was the first female leg amputee to complete the Ironman World Championship in Kona. She first attempted the race in 2004, but was disqualified when she reached the end of the bike course 15 minutes after cutoff time. She returned to Kona in 2005 with a motto of unfinished business and crossed the finish line in just over 15 hours. She's a marathoner, a Paralympic, and she was also on Amazing Race. And she's incredible. All right. So I mentioned that I was able to host the Ironman end of year banquet 3 years in a row, 17, 18, 19. I met Sarah in 18. And then in 2019, I had the incredible privilege of meeting Rudy Garcia Tolson and Roderick Sewell. So let me set up Rudy first. He's a gold medalist, Athens and Beijing. He won silver in London and Rio. And in 2009, he was the first double above the knee amputee to complete a full Ironman triathlon. That was in Ironman, Arizona. So Rudy, just incredible. And Roderick. I don't know what it was about Roderick, but I felt like I had like an instant connection with him. I felt like we had been friends forever. He's literally like just exudes this, I don't know, this beauty and this energy. And I really was attracted to it. My spirit was attracted to it. And let me tell you about Roderick. So he is a Team USA athlete, USA swimmer, college graduate, Olympic trainer, and the first double above the knee amputee to finish Kona. That was in 2019. Kona is a world championships for the Ironman. For those of you who do not know, you talk about Kona a lot. People think that's the only Ironman. It's not. Ironman is 2.6 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and 26.2 mile run. Yeah, it's a lot. And the Kona course is the hardest. I know every course is hard when you do an Ironman, but the Kona is so incredibly challenging because of the elements of the island. So now, as I mentioned, Roderick is a double above the knee amputee who finished Kona, but he's also an author. Take a look right there. This is going to come out August 5th, which is just in a couple of days. There you go. That's when I first met him. on the red carpet for this event. And there's Rudy and myself and Bob Babbitt and of course Roderick as well. And some cool pictures I'm going to show you of Roderick and Rudy right here. These two have known each other for a very long time. They like literally, I can't even imagine the brotherhood that the two of them have. I think that's the next picture, Spencer. Right there. So you see those two right there. Challenged Athletes Foundation is what they're part of. That's how they got into all these triathlons and got into swimming and biking and running. It's a great foundation that does a lot for athletes with disabilities. Let me show you real quick what Roderick has. So he was born without his tibia. And when I've told people that I'm getting to talk to him, everybody always goes, "Where's the tibia?" So I do have a picture right here to show you exactly where the tibia is. Roderick was born without both of those. And his mom had to make the decision when he was less than 2 years old, about a year and a half, to amputate both of his legs. It was a decision that she made. Single mom, all on her own, made the decision to amputate both of her young child's legs. And I know that every single one of us are who we become as an adult. There she is. That would be Marianne Jackson. I love that picture right there. For those of you who are listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, we have a lot of photos, so check them out if you can. But I know that we all become the type of adult that we become because of our parents, because of their love and their guidance and the decisions that they make and the sacrifices they make. And that is, I think, where 1,000,000% we have to start the story of Roderick Sewell and his mother, Marion. So let's say hello to Roderick right now, my friend who I haven't seen since 2020. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Shannon. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I wanted you to hear that, and I hope I presented it in the best way possible because you're so incredible. And I wore my Ironman shirt today for you.
I was tempted to wear it. Oh my gosh. I was like, CAF Ironman, I didn't know. So I just kind of went with CAF. I called it on that one, but I
I
appreciate it.
I love it. Full disclosure, I haven't been training. I tore my hamstring in 2021.
Oh, dang.
I
Okay.
went through a divorce, all of that stuff. It's okay. It's all good. All that stuff kind of took me away from training. I'm still working
Mhm.
out, but not training right now for anything. I
Okay.
don't know if I'll get the bug again, but I'm glad I had the bug. What are you training for right now?
I am training for, well, I kind of took some time off from cycling. I tell people I'm a retired swimmer now. I'm done with Paralympic swimming. Ironman was fun, but there's none in my view at the moment. I'm not doing one anytime soon. I have been after the Ironman in 2019. It helped me kind of gravitate towards Paralympic cycling. Um, Doing just a bunch of hours on the bike to prepare for the Ironman had me fall in love with riding my bike, and it was something I didn't use before. I had a kneeler hand cycle,
Mhm.
so having that and then putting 20, 40, 60, 80 miles on that, falling in love with that drove me into Paralympic cycling. So normally there was a race this year in Belgium where we have our World Cup. I usually go to that race, and this year I took it off because of the book coming out in August 5th. Um, since all my focus is on that, I just had to take this year away from competing and focus on something that's going to benefit me and my family.
All right, I'm going to talk to you about you. Did you quit swimming? That's like your
Yeah,
love.
yeah, I retired. I'm done with Paralympic swimming.
Okay.
So I still love open water swimming. I still love to train. I swim with the Masters team here in Denver. Um, so I'm still very active in the water, and I
Mhm.
still like hold myself to that standard of like, all right, you got to do 1,500 in 30 minutes or 3,000 an hour. If you can't do that, you're out of shape. Yeah. And then I never let that go, and I don't want to let that go, but I don't want to compete anymore, if that makes sense. I want to stay strong. I like what swimming has done for my body because it's more resistance work and it's not a lot of impact. I feel like it's helped me build up my muscle a lot more than if I was doing weights or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't plan to. The older I get, I know the harder it's gonna get. So I don't plan to let swimming go ever, you know.
Yeah, I see. I'm opposite. I can't even get in the pool anymore. All right, there it is. I love
Oh
it.
yeah.
Except it's not signed, dude. I got it, and I
I
was like,
I got you. I'm going to sign it out because we did say that. I'm going to get you a sign for sure.
Yeah, I love it. So it's coming out
Thank you.
August 5th. It's called Iron Will, An Amputee's Journey to Athletic Excellence. I read the book, most of it, getting ready to talk to you today, but I knew the story. But there are some things in here I think I learned about you. First of all, let's start with why now? Why did you
Mm,
decide that this was the right time to write the book?
um, it was during COVID. I think we had our discussion, and then throughout that year, the end of 2020, um, it was just a realization where I just had a lot of time to sit down. So let me rewind. The Ironman was October 12th, 2019, and I took 2 months off. I just ate for 2 months. I didn't do any training. I didn't do anything. I
Mm.
just enjoyed food. And then March comes, and I have to get back into my Paralympic swimming and Paralympic cycling, which I'm interested in now because of the Ironman. Obviously, March 2020 happens, and the world shuts down. And I got to go stay with my aunt in Florida, who, I was living in New York at the time. Being in New York during COVID was really rough. If you
Mhm.
weren't there already, you can get back in. And if you were there, you're locked down. You're not going anywhere. So I was just coming back from, at the time, I was in Manitou Springs in Colorado, and I couldn't get back to New York. So my aunt told me to come to Florida to stay there for a while. And just sitting there and contemplating, it had been a full year. Well, it felt like not a full year. It felt like from October to March, just podcast after discussion after speech, and um, hearing people's reactions to what that meant for them. I was like, all right, how do I impact the most people as
Huh.
possible? And my mom told me years ago, write down everything, and I didn't. But now that I had time to not only go through everything, but kind of check, like do like a healing check to make sure I'm okay through talking through these topics and addressing certain things. Because there are certain things in the book that for my life I'm okay, but for my mom, I was really struggling to accept that she was okay with talking about certain things. So I really had to sit down and go over everything and accept, like, all right, you're telling this part of your story. People are going to know this about you. Are you okay with that? And the overall like message, regardless of what people think from my past, because of what I've been through and what this meant for them, it would be wrong not to try to get this out there for others who might appreciate it.
What are some of the, that was I mean, that's my next question. And you led me right into it. Like, what was it like for you? So what were some of the painful points that you had to relive through
Mm.
these words?
I think the hardest for me was there was one time I talk about my mom and I being homeless and we're moving to Alabama. And I remember she told me, this is your last day in San Diego. And she had things to do right after school. So I had to hurry up, come home. For some reason, all I heard was last day in San Diego. So my idea was, let me tell my friends that I'm going to hang out with them before I go. Cause I don't want to leave San Diego to Alabama of all places. Um, and I went with my friends for 3-4 hours. I don't have a cell phone. My mom has no idea where I'm at.
Mhm.
So we're still living in the shelters at this time, and we're moving from the shelter to Alabama, where it's a little bit more stability. My mom eventually realizes she can call one of my friends' mothers. She calls her, trying to figure out where I'm at, and it's just downhill from there. The lady, my friend's mom, asking me, "Were you supposed to be here? Did your mom say it was okay?" Me telling her no, and then now they're driving me to my mom, and I just see my mom pacing, just angry, angry. And she knows this is probably the only like real regret I have. That day, she was trying to get to our storage where we had my first medals, trophies from being an adaptive athlete. We had baby pictures for me, baby pictures for her, just a lot of our life in this storage. And it was just a sign for us to have something after once we get it more stability. And we lost it. We lost everything.
Jeez.
And yeah, and it's just that hurt because I can't remember seeing my mom. I remember seeing a picture of my mom as a baby, and that was the only one she had. Um, Everything else was lost. They were living in Florida, so she lost it during the hurricanes that
How'd
were
they
out
lose it?
there.
Like, did someone come in and clean out the storage unit?
Yeah, they auction if you don't
Yeah.
pay after a certain time.
And you've never
So
been able to recover any of that stuff. Like sometimes it pops up, right?
yeah, it's all gone. Um, it was I mean, I was 12, I think.
Yeah.
This is 2004. So yeah, it's been tough. And my mom, she's like, let it go, it's fine, blah blah blah. Like she's so whatever about it.
Mhm.
But for me, that was hard because I wanted to show my kids like pictures of her when she was young. I wanted to show them pictures of me. Um, so that was one of the hardest ones while we were going through living in a shelter and wanting to get back to normal. And now we have to restart everything.
Yeah, I want to touch on that because I didn't mention that in the intro, the part
Mhm,
about being homeless.
mhm,
And I'll have you explain it because your mom had a job. She
mhm,
had a job with the Department of Defense, right? That was when you were born.
mhm,
And she had a job when you were younger, but the decision to quit that job and have to, I guess, lose everything, that was
mhm.
a decision of hers, right? So walk me through
Right.
that.
Yeah, she was working for the Navy as a civilian for I think for about 15 years. She left Florida when she was 18. So yeah, about 15 years. Um and she met my dad there, and they had me. Eventually her and my father broke up. And when she had me, she learned that I was going to need either a wheelchair or prosthetics. My feet were twisted. There was no way I can brace myself on my foot. So she knew there would be some type of equipment. But her insurance doesn't cover durable medical equipment for anybody outside of herself. And they weren't going to give it to her because they wouldn't have hired her,
Mhm.
if she needed something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so it was a situation where she just didn't know what to do. And she knew that if she didn't have a job, if she was relying on nothing, we can get Medi-Cal and children's services to cover my prosthetics. And she was already kind of on the fence. This was, 92. I was 90. This was 93, like mid 93, when she realized that she wanted to amputate my legs. So it's still, for somebody to grow up on prosthetics, it's still very new. Um, but she was like, I blame it on the fact that she's a Star Trek fan. So, and I remember what they told her and what she thought was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be like super sci-fi, And I love that she thought that because that works out. That's my spirit as well. Um, she said, "Okay, I'm going to amputate," even though a lot of people in our family were saying, "Don't do it."
Ugh.
Just put him in a wheelchair.
And you and I
She
talked
was
about that, the decision.
mhm,
She didn't have anyone to turn to. You're a year and a half year old baby
mhm,
and had no one to turn to for this.
exactly, and I wondered, and I talk a little bit about this in the book. How could she make such a sacrifice? Like I know I've talked to parents that said they would never, you know, they would have their kid get what they need, but they're not giving up what they fought for their whole life. My mom came out of poverty and now she was the breadwinner working for the Navy. And now you're going back to a poverty situation just so that your child can walk. Yeah, there's a lot of people that I talked to that said that is um, remarkable, but not for me. And I get it, but I feel like that's the true test of a parent. I think that's when you worked your whole life for something, and you know, there's the thing you worked for, and then there's the thing you created. And my mom wanted to make sure the thing she created got the best step forward. You know, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I told you when we talked in 2020 that I think your story, and I started the conversation that we had. Your story is a love story between you and your mom. So I was not surprised when I saw the book, and pretty
Mhm,
much right from the start is your mom. You talk about your
mhm,
mom. Wow. Okay. So 6 miscarriages.
mhm,
She worked through your entire while she was pregnant with you,
mhm,
manual labor at the Department of Defense. So she was like stacking pallets
mhm.
with like 60-pound things and then driving the
The
whatever,
forklifts, yep.
yeah, the forklift to move this
Mhm,
stuff. Meanwhile, she's in pain, so she
mhm,
knows that something is not right with the pregnancy. So she's having complications.
mhm,
Your umbilical cord is wrapped around your neck when
mhm.
when she does go into labor. Why was that the way that you started the book? Why was your mom and what she went through, where she's from, Homestead, I think so many children, wasn't able to go
Mhm.
to school, all of these things. Why was that the important starting spot for you?
Um, I wanted everybody to relate to, because people are naturally kind of attracted to my part of the story. I wanted the people to relate to her story first and kind of understand the character build up.
Yeah.
Um, because there was so much going on with her background, because now this birth, there's an issue that she's learning about. Um, on top of that, and I bring this up, I'm born on April 29th, 1992. And this is during the LA riots, the day
Mhm.
of, um, there was just so much turmoil going on over um, injustice from the police. And then, the 90s were just a different time than what we're living in right now. Um, and I want to build that up and then show everybody that my mom, even though she got this news about her child, even though all this commotion is going on, even though she's been through these situations that have her feeling this way, there's like this quiet moment where she finally has her baby. She's had 6 miscarriages.
Yeah.
She used to walk on her tippy toes just to make sure like I stay up in there. So she finally got her baby. Yes, he came out with a disability, but he's crying, he's laughing. They're telling her like from the knee down, he hasn't developed completely. Everything else, they went through the not therapy, but the testing. And they were like, yeah, he's fine. He's just didn't develop his legs completely. So I think her hearing that, and even though in the back of her mind she knew that it was going to be some struggles, there was going to be some hardships that she didn't understand or know about, she was still willing because she had her baby. That's a life that's alive now, and she's been trying so hard. And also, my mom is the eldest of
Hmm.
11, so she's seen her siblings all have children, multiple children, and she's sitting here, kind of struggling to have the one. Um, and it's surprising that I always tell people this. It's a blessing in my eyes. I feel like those are 6 siblings that I'll never meet. I don't know. Um, but
Mm.
my dad, after my dad and my mom broke up, he had 6 kids, and
Wow.
yeah, so um, knowing that I still have my siblings in this life in some way, shape, or form, as well as feeling like I got like a guardian angel version
Yeah.
on the back end, so it's kind of nice. I would have been the baby in a sense, but now I'm the eldest.
Yeah, and I mean, I let people listening. I don't know what people listening, what their thought of spirituality or those types of things are. I certainly believe in it. Do you feel them with you sometimes?
In moments where I'm just like there's just times where I'm very much a adrenaline junkie. I'm learning that about myself. I didn't put a name to it until somebody said it, and I was like, yeah, I guess that's me. But there's just been times where it shouldn't have worked out, and I'm just sitting there like,
Mm.
how, where, and but it's just it made me realize like there's a lot of blessings that'll come along your way, but at some point you have to realize that you need to use your life to be the blessing for somebody else. Um, I tell people like God did our makeup for birth to 18, if you believe in that. Um, birth to 20s on up, you're being looked after. In some sense, some people are going through some hard times still. But your genetic makeup is built to survive and get through.
Mm.
Um, and then now, when you get to that point, when you have that strength, when you have that, you're supposed to provide for somebody else. So I've recognized that I've been blessed. I've been blessed to have a remarkable life. And I'm getting to that point where I need to do the same for someone else.
Yeah, I mean, you do, 1000%. And I when I was reading the book, I found it really thoughtful. Like you said, your mom. What you said, she's the oldest of eight.
11.
Oh my gosh.
Mm,
And so oldest of 11, and I believe like did not like of very poor means, right?
mm,
And grew up in Homestead, wasn't able to go to school because her mom needed her to work at the house and take care of all of her siblings. And I
mm,
think you said something to the fact that my mom was never loved. Her parents didn't
mm,
really show her love. Siblings and your dad didn't show her love, but she knew how to love you.
mm.
Is that was I right in kind of encompassing what you said?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I, you know, acknowledge that for her to be able to do that, after not receiving it, to still know in some sense and still give it, um, I feel like that's vulnerability. That's the true healing process, because a lot of people can be closed off and disregard any emotion that feels like that anymore after
Hmm.
being
Yeah.
subjected to it for years, so yeah, there were just statements she would say, like, I would always do this for you, I would never hurt you. Like, she would almost like a mantra, like, not every morning, but she made sure to let it be known, like, I'm here for you, I'm here to help you out. um and now it's getting to the point where, she's older, she has her own place in San Diego. But I'm working on getting a plot of land where she can come stay out there with my girlfriend, and I. We all stay out there together. And thankfully, we all have minimalist, like, living standards. So, like, we can
Hmm.
get a luxurious tiny home for myself, a luxurious tiny home for my mom. Call it a day. We got our land, our food, our animals. So that's the plan now. I want to set her up now where she's good, she's okay, but I want her to be in more of a peaceful state.
I love it. I love to hear you have a girlfriend too, because you didn't have a girlfriend when I talked to you in 2020. So
Right. I was single, super single.
I love that. I'm happy for you. I wish nothing
Thank
but the
you.
best for you. Obviously was doing a bunch of research, kind of getting ready for you again, and I did come across, some kids who is there a procedure now that can help kids who are born without their tibias, that can extend their legs? I thought I saw some
Mm,
kind of, like, are there options today for kids?
I mean, I haven't done much research
Okay.
because, yeah, I guess, almost disassociated myself from, like, I forget that was my issue, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
I
absolutely, it doesn't it makes sense 1000%.
Right, because it's always been like, my first steps, I remember, were as an amputee. Um, walking with my limbs, and then not even realizing, because I did that at such a young age. Now, as I grow older, I can weight bear, which for double amputees to be able to walk on their amputated limb is not necessarily normal. Um, let's say somebody had an accident and has been an amputee for 3 to 5 years, they're not walking on their stump. There's too much phantom pains. There's too much.
Nerve, right?
It's
Nerve to
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
lot of nerve issues. So for me, I guess, coming up, and I remember being a child, and I had a gallop. Like, I really was on my hands and my stumps, and I never had any pain at that point. Not that I remember, but I think there was a lot of time where my mom kept the bandages on and kind of let that recovery process happen. Um, but yeah, it's hard for me to associate with that, and I should look more into the research, because I've been leaning more towards, how do we make these prosthetics more optimal. Like, even
Yeah.
today, I don't walk around with shoes anymore. I think I was wearing shoes the last time I talked to you.
What do you walk around with?
So I have my prosthetic foot, and I actually brought an example. This
Okay.
isn't my prosthetic foot. This is my running blade.
Yeah.
You can see, you and I are in the same boat. This has dust on it. I haven't ran in a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, because I wanted to ask you about that, because you got your first leg, so there are different
Mhm.
there's the prosthetic legs. Are there the blades and then running blades? Like, are there different, levels or things that you can have?
So I have my walking foot, which I'm standing on right now, but it's just, if I took off my shoe and I just have my plastic foot there, I
Uh-huh.
put a sole on the bottom similar to this,
Okay.
and it looks like I'm just walking on my foot, pretty much. And the way I see it, people stare anyway. So I'm just like, I'm going to be comfortable. And because I don't wear shoes, I don't get tripped up by the laces. I don't, like, drag the shoe on the bottom of the ground when I'm walking and I'm feeling tired. Now my foot is lighter. I feel like I can feel the prosthetic foot, which is similar to this, kind of rolling over onto the toe and then going back onto the heel. So I can feel that motion a lot better without my shoes. Um, and the running blade is specific for, I'm not sure which category this is, but you go by category, like, 1 through 5.
Mhm.
And that depends on how much pressure you can get. So this is a pretty high category because I can't bend it. But when I'm running and I'm applying my weight and my pressure, it should load up enough to
Uh-huh.
shoot me off into the next step.
Do those
Um,
hurt? Like, do any of those hurt you? Like, I know you mentioned like when folks, if people have your leg amputated now, there's a lot of nerves and stuff. Is there
mhm.
any kind of sensation in there when you put on either your prosthetic legs or your blades?
um, for me, putting on the blades, I feel more of a it's comfortable. It depends on your relationship with your prosthetist. My prosthetics, my socket that I sit my real limb inside,
Hmm.
it is comfortable enough where I can run for a while. I have the pylon, which is like a metal pole to change my height, and then the foot. Just those three components. And the most jarring part is because my knees don't bend. There's just a pole there. I'm swinging around. I'm kind of circumducting when I run, and I feel more of a load in my lower back, less of my stumps, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
My stumps are secure, but there's nothing to receive all that pressure except for my lower back, which is why these things have dust on.
What do you wear like most of the time? Like, are you, because I know in the book you talked about when you started and you just mentioned it, a lot of times you were
Mm,
just using your arms and you could kind of get around very quickly using your arms and pushing yourself around. Like, and I know when you get out of the water and transition, when you used to do triathlons, that was the
mhm,
way you did it as well. Like, are you always on your prosthetics? Do you find it more comfortable to just not have them on? What, like,
mhm.
what's your process during the day?
During the day, if I'm at home, most likely I have my prosthetics off.
Hmm.
If I'm home all day, I'll have them off. If I, but, and that's the hard part too. Being a double above knee amputee, I expend a lot of energy just to jump up and take my little steps to walk across to another room. Um, Sometimes it would get so much where I'm just like, let me put my legs on because I need to hurry up and get to the kitchen, hurry up, get to I don't have time to like, and then be tired when I get there because I'm only 4 feet tall with my prosthetics off. With my prosthetics on, I'm 6'1".
Love
Um,
that.
yeah, right. That's the one beauty. I had somebody ask me like, do you get or not vertigo when
Yeah.
you are changing your height? And I was like, that's a great question. Like,
Interesting.
yeah, but it's never. I think a lifetime of doing it, it's never happened. But um, I'm sorry, I got distracted from
No,
the
it's
question.
totally fine. You were saying like, yeah, it's easier to put your prosthetics on when you saying rather than just
For
running
sure.
around.
Yeah, but if I'm in like a race like that, or if I'm in nature, my prosthetics aren't necessarily that helpful. The walking legs are not meant for. They're meant for societal. Walking down the street, walking down the block. Sometimes hiking through off a trail. Absolutely not. I'm getting caught on everything. So I would like to be at a shorter height, my normal height, with a small foot on the bottom of my socket. So I would be like maybe 4'2". But now because my center of gravity is lower and I rely on my arms for everything, my maneuverability, I can get through anything a little bit easier.
So many options now. It's awesome, huh? Like think
Yeah.
about like telling little Roderick. I just think it's so cool. Everything that I've heard you say about growing up and obviously being different or having differences than most kids, right? It sounded like you didn't really like you told me when we spoke there were two things, right? Your legs and the color of your skin. Those were the two
Mhm.
things that people kind of I guess came at you about and kind of coming to grips with those. But it didn't sound like you dealt with a whole lot of teasing or meanness, did you?
I did. I did. I just had more positive.
Yeah.
I had and I've learned that about myself. There was a time where those teasing moments were like highlighted my day. Like that's all I could think about. But if I think about the amount of people that came around and had more positive things to say, um, and those were my friends that I relied on for I don't need to believe what this person is saying about me. My friends know who I am. My family knows who I am. There was different locations in San Diego. It was because of my legs and because I was really young. Kids don't know. In Alabama, it was more of like you're not from here, you know, and so it was a little bit different there. And then as I got older, then I started filling out. Then the teasing stopped. So
Yeah, you're like,
but
"I'm
I
gonna
was.
kick your butt. Look at this. I could." It's like, "Yeah,
They
you go
saw
ahead and
me.
tease me, man."
Right. They realized like, oh, he's bigger and his legs are metal. Like, that's a problem in both ways. But I was never like I was such the pacifist. Like I never caused any problems or issues. I was not fighting. Um, but I was from like from like 3 to 10, there was a lot of teasing, and I didn't know how to respond to it. So I was
Because of your
angry at
legs.
times. Yeah,
Because of
specifically in my legs. The only time my color came into play, and I guess it's just the reverse. When I'm in the able-bodied world, they're focused on my disability. When I'm in Paralympic swimming, swimming is, a lot of people would say, an elitist sport. There's not a lot of people of color that are in Olympic swimming, let alone Paralympic swimming. So I had my friend Rudy, who told me, like, you got to understand. For me and Rudy, we were friends. We grew up together, and Rudy, I joke on him. I was like, I see you as a Mexican man, and I feel like people don't see you that way. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it is what it is. He told me, like, you have to realize that for some of these people, they haven't been around Black people. And that just shook me, because I'm just like, oh, that's right. When some people are born with a disability, you're kind of sheltered, you're kind of kept in your area, kept with your people. So it made sense. Like, for me, I had CAF, where you
yeah.
were in a diversity of multiple cultures and different disabilities. But not everybody grew up in an environment where you have a CAF. They might have been the only person with a disability in their environment. And then on top of that, their family's going to keep them in their environment because of that. Um, so, going to a swim meet, and I'm getting stared at by other people with disabilities. I'm like, we all, look, you got a leg too. You got two legs. You're missing an arm. Like, what are y'all staring at? And it took Rudy telling me that. And I was like, okay, now I understand, because I didn't even have that issue. With CAF, I got exposed to, even though living in San Diego, I lived on the side of town where there were a lot of people of color. But because of CAF, I got exposed to everybody of different cultures. And then I went back to my home, but because of that, those events and going back and forth, like, I formed bonds that I still have today. Versus years of, it could be a decade or plus of just not being around other people of other cultures. And now you don't know how to act. You don't know how to be just yourself and appreciate somebody else's culture, you know?
CAF is the Challenge Athletes Foundation. Let's pop that picture up, Spencer, of him and Rudy. And like I mentioned, I had the opportunity to meet Rudy. Before we came on, I talked about Sarah Reinertsen as well. I know you know her. And I saw her for the first time the year. Here's a picture of you and Rudy. I love it. Is it like when you guys first met?
That was day one, actually. Yeah. And seeing that photo, I was like, this is kind of iconic. Like, it's used a lot in the CAF world,
As it should be.
because Rudy was the first child that came into the CAF, first child with a disability. And then I followed a few years after. And he was already, by the time I got there, he was already like a renowned athlete, you know,
So what do
already
you
on his.
remember about this picture standing next to him? Because I look at your smile, and this must have been like, when you think about taking this picture with him, his
Mm,
arm is on your shoulder,
mm,
and you both, I mean, this must have felt pretty powerful, like,
mm,
because you didn't have someone that looked like you and had the same experience as you, and then all of a sudden you're standing next to a young boy who does.
hmm It was very much it was a mutual acceptance of, like, oh, wow, that's what it looks like to see me walking up to, like, I had never seen somebody with a double above the amputee walk up to me, and seeing, especially a child, seeing him do that was like, oh, that's how I look walking up to somebody. So we look completely different, but we felt like we looked exactly the same, if that makes sense.
I love
And
it.
it was yeah, for me, it was very much a confidence booster. And I think for Rudy, it was just like, oh, I got a partner now. I got a ride or die, and I was just like, yeah, let's go. I was always like that with my cousins. I was like that with him. Um, so for me, I needed that kind of guidance. And then once I got it, I'm ready to take off. And then I think for Rudy, it was like, I wish I had somebody to experience this with, because CAF, that was their child, that was their superstar. They took care of him, they took him everywhere. And he made sure, like, if I'm going, can we bring Roderick and his mom? You
It's
know?
awesome. Yeah, he
Mm.
was in the Paralympics, and I was like, yeah. I was like, totally, like, recently, right? Within the last couple
Yeah,
years, wasn't he?
he was in
Um,
Tokyo.
yeah, I
Hmm
just So cool. Did he get you into Ironman events? Because I do want to get into that. Because obviously, this book, again, Roderick's book is coming out August 5th. It's called Iron Will: An Amputee's Journey to Athletic Excellence. He wrote this because now is the time to tell his
Mhm.
story, and he goes really in depth. I was actually surprised at some of the things you remembered from such a young age, some of the painful things, physically, emotionally, and as you mentioned with your mom. But you do go into the Ironman, the
Mhm.
Kona. I did not compete in Kona. I know last time I told you I was, but it was canceled because of COVID.
Right.
But I did train for it. It was about 6 weeks out, and I had just started mentally and listening to podcasts about the course, the swim, the winds on the bike,
Mhm.
the energy lab, all of the hard things that you had to deal with, that everybody obviously on the course has to deal with, but you had to deal with in a different way. So did Rudy get you into Ironmans? He was the first one to finish an Ironman, not Kona. That
Mhm.
was you. He tried Kona,
Mhm.
and then did Phoenix. So how did that journey into Ironman start for you?
It started with Bob Babbitt.
Yeah.
He's the co-founder of CAF, and I think he's in the Ironman Hall of Fame. He was there
We have
first
that
day of
picture
the
too, Spencer, if you don't mind popping that up. It's of the four of
nice.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, but Bob is he's a legend for sure, and we call him like Uncle Bob. He's always since we were little. That photo that you have of Rudy and I, he's looked out for us.
Yeah.
Um,
There he is.
and Bob, he told me like Rudy did the Ironman in 2009. We still haven't finished the Kona race. Ironman might get us, or sorry, CAF might get a stop from Ironman to bring a CAF athlete with them to the race. Um, and so I was like, okay, well, I don't ride a bike. I'm a good swimmer, but I always do. Every time I did a half Ironman or some kind of race, I always did a relay because I never did the bike. Um, we did a relay in Oceanside, April of 2019, and I did the swim, which was 1.2 miles in 33 minutes, I think.
Wait,
Um,
that's faster than me, buddy. But then again, you are a swimmer and I'm not.
I I was upset with that time. I was like, it should have been 30, 31. Because
You're
Rudy, I think he went
amazing.
31.
You're amazing.
Um, but then now we're chilling. Like we have teammates that are going on the bike. And then we go for the run. And that was my first time running on my new sockets with these new running blades. And after 6 miles, every mile after that is the longest I've ever run because at the time I'd only ran through Central Park. Um, but I'm feeling good. I'm not having to stop. And I get to the finish line. I think it was an hour and 39 for the run. And that was my first time doing a half marathon. So seeing that, Bob and Rudy were like, where'd that come from? We thought you were a swimmer
Hour
uh,
39 for a half marathon.
for half
That's
marathon.
very, very, very fast.
I have no clue where it came from,
Yeah.
or I only ran 6 miles around Central Park, and then after that I would stop because I'd be tired. So I don't know if it was adrenaline for the race, just feeling good.
When you
But
get
after
tired on your blades, where are you tired? Is it physically or is it like your lungs? Like, is it just the endurance
just
that you had to build up?
the endurance, and then for my stumps, when I'm swinging my legs around, depending on how good I feel, it's how wide or how far I can stretch and throw my leg out. If I am needing to catch my breath and take it back a little bit, then my feet are staying right here, right under me the whole time. It looks like I'm on a pogo stick, like I'm just kind of bouncing down the down the trail. Um, so I never had a moment where I had to kind of take it back. I always kept some type of pace through the race.
Yep.
And then after seeing that, Bob was like, if we, get you a bike and would you do the Ironman? Um, Absolutely. At first I told him no, because I told him and Ironman no, because I didn't know if they would let me do it the way I wanted to. I didn't want to do it the way Rudy did it, where he used a standard bike. Me on a standard bike
Yeah.
or recumbent, where
Okay.
it's more you're laying down and it's a lot of shoulder, bicep, tricep, and
Got it.
then a lot of forearm. The kneeler bike allows me to strap my stumps in, and I can almost use it like if I was doing a what is that core exercise called
Like
when you
back
hold your
raises.
legs down? Yeah, like if I were holding down, I can almost lift my body up and then press it down with my stumps as well. So I'm using my core, I'm using my lats, shoulders, arms, everything. So I'm just engaging more of my body into
Yep.
each pedal stroke. Um,
So you had to
and
petition them to use this one.
they were okay with it. I
Yeah.
didn't know if they were okay with it because I hadn't seen it before, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
They were like, yeah, that's no problem. So once I
Cool.
heard that, I was like, absolutely, I would do the Ironman.
Here we go.
Right. And then, so I go home, I start training. I borrow a hand cycle from a friend who it's not the one I would use, but it's something to get the miles in. And then Ironman came to me with the slot. I think it was July. Yeah, it was mid-July. They said that, would you like to compete in the Ironman this year? And I said, absolutely. Um, Most people told me that that was crazy to train for 3 months to get ready for Ironman.
Because the Ironman is in October.
Right, right. And so from like mid-July to October 12th I wasn't even focused on swimming. I knew a lot of that was muscle memory. If anything, I swam for active recovery just to get my muscles like loose. Um, the run, because of my performance at that half marathon, I knew it was there. I just had to keep it up there and do a little bit more distance running. I think the longest I got up to was 18 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bike, there was like a dark cloud over the bike. Bob was calling me. Rudy's like, we were living together at the time, and he's worried the entire time that, Rudy had did the race in 2009 and he missed the bike cutoff by 15 minutes in Kona. And so I told him I'm practicing the kneeler. I'm working on it. CAF buys me a kneeler so that I can go compete in the Ironman. And it's a little heavy. I didn't know that. And I'm training on it. I'm training, and they're just like, you need to train some more on the bike because this is the part where we're nervous that you're not going to make it. So I just put on miles and miles on the bike. The first month, I did 20 to 40 miles every other day. The second month, I was doing 40 to 60.
Where were you able to train? Were you in New York at the time? Like, where do you go 20 miles in New York on that kind of bike?
Thankfully, I was managing a training studio, an endurance training studio, where we had like 16 rows of bike trainers where you could put your bike on. Yeah, so I would if I wanted to do something indoors, focus on my pace, then I would do that. If not, then I would go out to Central Park. Central Park has one loop is 6 miles, and then from there you can go out to I'm forgetting the name of the area. But I would cycle almost going like upstate New York, where you can get away from the city and you have all this open road to use.
Peekskill, that area, like up the Hudson. You talking up the Hudson?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I would do like 20 miles in Central Park, go all the way out there, do 20 miles out that way, come back 20 miles in Central Park. Depending on if I packed a lunch, I might ride all the way home.
Wow.
It was fun in New York to do that. But especially on a hand cycle, like riding down, I would ride in the middle of the street. In all honesty, it was not dangerously, but there's the bike lane and my bike's really low. And
that
sometimes
sounds
I'm
dangerous to me.
They wouldn't see me in the bike lane. So I was like, if I put myself in the normal driving lane, everybody can see me then. And I would move if there was cars coming, but eventually I would go back, and just so that I know that everybody from every direction can see me. It's mainly those people turning that I worried about. But yeah, so it was CAF having a slot for the Ironman race. July came, Ironman said, absolutely, we would love to have you. And then it was just on the bike as much as I could, just to get prepared.
What I thought was interesting, though, in the book, you talk a lot about the isolation that you felt in the water.
Mm.
And I always say that, like, I've only done 7 half Ironmans, never did a full one, trained for 2. So I'm going to take credit. Didn't get it because they were canceled at the last minute. But
Sure.
I think it's very isolating, the Ironman. They don't let you wear earphones. They don't let you do any of this stuff. Like, you are out there with your thoughts. And I just found it really interesting that you felt at that moment isolated. And I guess maybe because I guess you got out to a really fast start and kicking everyone's butt. And you were alone.
Mm.
Did you panic?
It was I guess for me, just being unaware of the race conditions that year. I came into it just knowing what I knew about Ironman, and I knew that everybody was going to start at the same time. This
year,
did
the rolling starts.
They did the rolling starts in 2019. They started the waves, and so I was just like, there was like maybe how many people in the physically challenged category? We had like 7 people out there, maybe more. It didn't feel like a lot, so it was a small like pod of people. The pro men had already went off 10 minutes before us, and then the pro women went off 5 minutes before us, and then we were next. So when we went off, everybody that's now racing, I think they're more focused in doing really well on the bike or really well on the run.
Yep.
And for me, the swim is my strongest for sure. So I'm going not all out, but I'm keeping a good pace. And then by the time I look back and I realize I'm really by myself
In the
and
middle of the ocean.
in the middle of the ocean, and the pros are too far ahead of me to catch them. I'm going to be by myself for 2.4 miles because I know I'm going to be ahead of the pod that I started with. The other pod started 5 minutes, 10 minutes behind us, so they're not going to catch me. And the other one started 5 minutes, 10 minutes before me, so it's unlikely that I'm going to catch them. And it was just a realization, but I also have to like bite down and say, well, this is kind of what you signed up for. This is because that was my strongest one. I couldn't let a moment go by. If I'm by myself, I'm by myself. I have trained to swim in a pod and like take a few elbows and, kind of muscle through, I trained ready for that.
I've done it.
So, so because that didn't happen, now I just have to change my mind of like, now you have to focus on just stroke technique. You don't have to focus on dodging and dipping away from people. Just focus on your buoys, your points, and keeping your pace.
Maybe that's the time that you felt those angels of the the siblings.
What helped me the day before I went swimming, just to do like a fun swim, and there was a pod of dolphins, like 14 dolphins that came, and then one of them was a baby, and it came up to me, and I remember smiling, and it kind of looked at me like, and I somebody told me like showing your teeth in the wild is supposed to be like a negative thing, and I was like, oh no, like I was just happy to see this thing, and now this baby's looking at me like, you're gonna hurt me, like.
Did you think about that when you were in the water by yourself, huh?
I did. I was like, they told me when I saw that, it was a local that told me that meant good luck before, especially before a race like this. I don't know if it's specific to the race or just in general to come across a pod like that. But for it to happen the day before, it almost had me during the race looking for them. Like where are they at? And I saw them out here yesterday. I was in this exact spot. Where are you all at now? And that kept me focused. Like, keep going. Don't slow down. They're faster than you. They'll catch up. And it gave me something else to think about for a little bit and almost kind of get away from the race and get into my rhythm.
Yeah.
I swam the 2.4 mile swim in 1 hour and 9.
That's incredible.
And I remember I was nauseous. Afterwards.
Yeah, you said the waves, right?
Mm-hmm. It was. I've never been nauseous swimming open
Plus,
water.
you
And that was
probably ingested some salt on the salt water and all that stuff, right? That's probably a lot.
Just a little bit, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, he's mentioned time a couple of times, and there are time cutoffs in Ironman. It's, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while, each one of the segments, swim, bike, run, has a time cutoff, and then the overall has a time cutoff, right? Is that, and they kind of give you the cutoffs within the race, because they know if you don't make those cutoffs, there's not a good chance that you're gonna make the final one. So Roderick, going into the swim, that's your strong suit. You thought, let me go ahead and make up as much time as I can overall here. That'll give me some more buffer on the back end. Was the bike, I read a little bit about, was your bike, is that a balance thing as well? Like, do you have to, because there's crosswinds, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you deal with the same thing that everybody else deals with on that bike, the crosswinds? I mean, how hard is it to go uphill? Because there's, what is it, Queen K? Like, isn't that like just a slow incline the whole way?
It was tough. I was definitely in like the highest gear trying to, or the lowest gear, trying to, the highest gear?
Yeah,
going uphill. One of them, yeah.
The one that makes one that your legs go faster around, your arms go faster around. Yeah.
That one. But I struggling trying to get up this hill. The balance, because it's a 3-wheeled bike.
Okay.
2 wheels in the back, one in the front. It's pretty well balanced and it's low to the ground. So I feel like I do have a little bit of like, if I tuck a little bit, I can get through a little bit better through the wind. The only part where on the crosswinds is when it's hitting my front wheel. Because my pedals are attached as one, so I would pedal both arms at the same time. As soon as that wind hits the wheel, whatever grip I have here has to be strong enough to kind of pull it back.
Got it.
Similar, I'm assuming similar to the standard bike.
Yeah,
Um,
that was my biggest fear.
mhm,
Reading, I'm not a great cyclist, and my biggest fear when I was getting ready to do Kona, and I was about 6 weeks out when they canceled it because of COVID for the second time in 2021. My biggest fear were those crosswinds because I'm just not a good cyclist, and I was so nervous about those.
yeah, yeah, it was dangerous. I think 2019 we had a few people that were the wind would blow and it kind of made multiple people clip into each other.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds awesome. After doing 2.6 miles in the, what is the Queen K?
Right.
Is that like, what is that? That's not right on the bike, is it? Is that at the
Um,
beginning?
yeah, it's in the beginning of the
Okay.
bike.
And I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
It's Queen K, right?
Queen
Am I
K, yep.
saying, yeah.
Hmm.
Which is a part in Kona. Again, it's people whenever they do Kona, the championships for the Ironman, the course is gosh, it's always a part of an Ironman, but so much more in Kona.
Right. That one for sure.
And yeah, you talked about that, the bike just being so isolating and kind of moments. And I think you told me was the sun wasn't going down when you were biking, was it? But on the
No,
run, you started to
on the
see
run.
it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you get off the bike, something that you had trained a lot for, and you put your blades on. First time that you've been on the blades all day long.
Hmm. Hmm.
And,
Yeah,
and
and
so what's that like?
it was when I got off the bike, I had 30 minutes to spare. So coming in and hearing that, both Bob, Rudy, myself were like, okay, the bike is done. Like
Yeah.
it's been haunting us since 2009. The
You
bike is
did it.
complete. Yeah, we got that part.
It didn't
Lit-
drown, didn't fall off the bike. We're good.
We're
Let's start
good.
running.
Little did we know it was going to be the run that was going to be the thing that might get me. It was
Wow.
the bike was easy, like 30 minutes in, swim easy peasy. After all of that, it's the run and all that on top of that. And that was my mental barrier was how do you do a marathon after doing all of this? Um, and getting into my running blades, I think it took 7 minutes and it felt good to like change my body position. I remember getting off my bike and just stretching and doing different movements. And then to stand up and be upright was like, okay, thank God I'm ready to get back to normal. Trying to jog on my running legs, my lower back, like I said, it was already tight from the bike, from just doing this motion over and over. Now my running legs, I almost have to like do these long hops to like get my back used to this motion now, not the bike. Um, as the miles from the first mile to mile 11, you're running through the city. And thankfully, like that's the energy I needed. I needed
Yeah.
that because I was struggling. And I remember I met a family that we had just met before. They were, saying good luck, high fives all around, and um, a lot of people cheering. And it's hard not to take that energy and want to go like all out. But I did need it to get my body used to the momentum and keeping that rhythm of, you're going to be here for a while. I remember seeing the sun come up when I started to swim, and now I'm watching the sun go down on mile 6 in the run or whatever mile it was. Um, so the realization of that and the oh my God, like I'm really doing this. They haven't stopped me. I didn't miss the cutoff. I'm almost there. I think this is really going to happen. All that gusto from the energy from everybody else. Now mile 11 and the city is behind us and it's quiet and we're on the Queen K highway and you just hear feet patters, panting, sobbing maybe.
Oh
you,
gosh.
know, you
Yeah.
don't hear you don't hear the positivity of the party that we just ran from. You hear the people that are out here that have been out here for a long time.
Like I said, that's when it becomes very isolating when you do
Mhm.
Ironman events. It's you and your thoughts.
Right. It gets quiet. We're all out there together, but you're doing your own race. So there was like for example, I remember I was coming into the Queen K Highway and Sika Henry was coming off her run. And this was her first professional, I think her first Ironman race as a professional athlete. And her and my mom had hit it off well before this race, and I never got to see her. So that was my first time seeing Sika was during the run. And I remember just, let's go, Zika, go, go, go. And she's like, oh, you got it. And, that set me off for another 3 miles before I needed to walk. I needed to take a break. My back it was too much. Um, but I tell people like the mountain, I guess the island, excuse me, there's a mountain there.
Yeah.
The island has its own magic for sure. It's very, even though a lot of the stuff we're doing is strenuous, is really tough. During the bike, during the swim, there was always a time where I could glimpse something, and I'm just like, wow, this is where we are right now. Like, aside from the race, this is a beautiful place,
Yeah.
and it's the fact that they tell you certain things like, oh, don't take the rocks from this mountain. If you take them home, you might have some issues back at home for you, and you got to bring that rock back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
Did
Like,
you
it lets
take
me
any?
know. No, but I got scared because I get home and there's rocks in my foot.
Shoes.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh, I didn't feel them. But I haven't had any bad luck, so I'm like, okay, maybe these are the good rocks that I can walk away with. Maybe the island understands. Like, I didn't know. But yeah, there's definitely like its own like mysticism. I remember running at night. It was so quiet, and there were times where it was dark, where the moon and the stars were covered with the clouds, and then there's times where it's a clear sky and it's lighting up this mountain, and you see these houses that are lined up on the mountain. And I was like, oh my god! Like I forgot I was racing because I was kind of walking and caught up in the moment with something. It's something Rudy told me not to do because he knows that I'm going to be like, oh, ooh,
Yeah.
like and
That's
it
so
happened.
cool though, because most people don't get to experience that. It's I talk about sometimes my favorite marathon to run is the New York City Marathon, because you get to experience New York in a way that you never get to experience it running through one borough to the next, and the way that they change the neighborhoods, and you see all
Right.
these things, and it's the same thing. You don't get those experiences unless you put in the work, and not everybody gets that experience. Because listen, I mean, not everyone gets to do a Kona race, and the moment that you were in, how you were feeling at those moments when the moon came out or the stars came out. Yeah, everybody has their own experience, but that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It almost makes me want to get out there and train again. Almost.
Is it free? Almost.
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 Almost. I also say one of the hard things about doing triathlons is not like, you can take the positive energy from people, but it's also really easy to absorb the negative energy from people when they're falling apart.
Right.
And, and there's so many of those people who are in pain, who are cursing, who are crying, and you go by them and like, you want to give them some energy to try to make them feel better, but you just have to be like, oh my gosh, I have to
Right.
I can't let that get in my brain, because it is so fragile, and you're constantly like scanning yourself to see how you feel from a cramping standpoint or this or that. There's just so much going on, and so much more for you. Did you almost quit?
There was a time on the bike where when I hit the halfway point and I realized that they're not going to pull me off this course unless I don't make the cutoff. I know people that have quit and have come back, and because of that, because of how much I put in to this one day, I didn't want to quit and come back. I wanted to knock it out first swing if I can. And once I realized like they're not going to stop me, I would literally have to stop myself. Once I had the realization, I just kept going. It wasn't until the run where now that marker is getting close, 6 miles away from the finish line. Bob's worried about me. He's riding a bike looking for me in the dark. Rudy's, tracking me. He knows I'm not going to make it if I keep walking at this pace. I think I was doing in the beginning, 7.5, 7:45 minute mile. And then the middle, like 10 to 20 miles, I was doing like 8:30, I think it was. And then from 20 to 26, it was like I was walking. And it's 20, I think it took 20 minutes for a mile.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, they knew like I wasn't going to
Listen,
make it at that pace.
just keep moving.
Just keep moving. And that's when I started that little, all right, like I couldn't get the long stride with my running legs. I just had to keep it right under me. My lower back, I couldn't trip because my back would seize up, And if I like tripped one way or the other, I would feel it all throughout my back, and then now I'm put to a slow down again. Um, and it was tough because they were telling me like, if you don't start running now, you're gonna miss the cutoff. And there are people, if I'm running out of the turnaround, there are people running into it. So if I'm almost close to this cutoff, that means they're definitely not gonna make it. And knowing that and seeing their faces here, like it was dark, but it was almost like there was a dark cover on their face as well because everybody's head was down, kind of with this understanding. And I remember running by and I was like, dang, there's not, I felt like there was nothing I could say. Normally, if I
Right.
run by, these people got the juice already, like, yeah, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
we're inspired to keep going, but they know, like, we're probably not going to make it.
Mm,
And I, like you said, at that time, I had nothing else to give to anybody else.
that's right.
I had to be like, I put everything into finishing this race. I do not want to come back. I want to
Yeah.
come back, but I don't want to have to come back to finish this. I want to just do it on this one time. Um, and sure enough, I think mile 22, I started running again and got some kind of pace. I remember I was getting hangry. I was just like, oh, I'm done with this race. Get me out of here. And the camera saw me. I was just like, oh, we're here.
I
Like, it's
would
over.
almost hyperventilate when I saw the finish line. Like, when I saw finish lines
Mm,
for anything, I would almost start to hyperventilate and have to remind myself to breathe and to calm down and to
mm,
slow down, because you get that, like, I'm almost there,
right,
you know? And,
right.
I was looking down because I was looking for this specific quote in your book. I had been training for months, but really I had been training for most of my life. This was an endurance race. You finished by not stopping. Amen.
Mm,
Is that
mhm.
not the story of life right there? You finish by not stopping.
That's the metaphor.
I love it.
Mhm.
You're a motivational speaker. I've kept you for an hour now, so I'm gonna, your mom, this book covers it all. The relationship with your mom, the heartache that she went through, the love that she has for you,
Mhm.
enormous love that she has for you. Your journey through Ironman, your journey to athletic excellence, and you're a motivational speaker as well. When you speak, I'm going to kind of leave it on this note. What's the message that you hope people walk away from?
Um, I I tell myself that after this race there was definitely a spark that was ignited in me, and I've seen it almost set off my family and friends in a way to kind of take on their own challenges. Especially when we talk, when it's like a one-on-one, they're like, there's no excuses from them anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
It's more like a realization of I know I need to do this, and I'm taking those steps. Um, I think it's important that if you feel like your spark is not ignited, then you go and get that inspiration. You go and get that drive. You go and get that motivation from somewhere to help you with your will to want to do it for yourself. And then if your spark is up, if you have it, then use it to make sure you light somebody else's spark. You know, if you feel like you're doing everything you can for yourself, you're being there for yourself, your self love is very much present, then use that spark to help somebody else who obviously does not have it. You know, um, as much and help where you can as much as you can. But um, I've had to learn that sometimes people don't want help. Sometimes
Hmm.
people want to be where they are and want to feel where they feel. Um, and a lot of things, like we said, it comes with time. It comes with time and what you want to put forth and which way you want to move, which direction.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's funny because I feel like that's why I started this podcast,
mm,
because of the use. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people that I've been so blessed and so lucky to meet along the way, who have inspired me. I'm now able to be this catalyst that brings those stories of inspiration to people who might not have experienced it. Like, I've got my Ironman life, I've got my NASCAR life, I've got my TV life, I've got my home life, I've got where I grew up. All of these, and so many cool people that I connect with, that I can connect on a more global basis. And obviously you and I have talked many times, and I talked
mm,
to you in 2020, as I've mentioned, and your story, dude. I just love you so much. I really
thank
do.
you. And I just want to say, like, you talked a little bit about, how much your life has changed in the beginning of the podcast. I've been following you on Instagram ever since we did our podcast in 2020, and I've seen how you've, like, I don't want to say turned your life around, but you look like you're going in a lighter direction, if that makes sense.
Oh,
So
I
I
appreciate that.
appreciate. I'm happy for you. I'm grateful. I'm glad you made the changes you needed to make so that you can go forth and be the best version of yourself. Like when I saw you do the magazine, I was like, oh my god, Shannon is going in. That's so cool. Oh my goodness. And
Yeah, I
then
was like,
and
screw it.
yeah,
I'm,
very
I'm
cool. That was so cool.
you know, there, I think it comes a point in your life where you're just like, whatever. Everyone's going to have something to say about something, and just, you don't have much time left to kind of
Mhm.
enjoy. You've planted all these seeds. You might as well enjoy the flowers, right?
I think I don't know if it's a getting because I'm 33 now, and I don't know if it's a getting older thing, but I'm very much like, especially with what I've done with my life. Like you said, I can't focus on too much of, oh, somebody's gonna have a negative comment about this. Somebody, no, like I don't know if it's just the older I get, but I can't focus on that
Yeah.
anymore. I have to be the full version of myself for however many more years I got to live. You know.
Yeah, I told someone one time, it was a long time ago, it's easier said than done. The advice that you give is easier than sometimes. Because I mean, listen, I've said it a million times. Everyone likes to be liked, and so when when people are on social media, even though you don't know who they are, and it's an egg, and
Mhm.
they're one follower in their basement, whatever, you still think about that, right? That, like,
Mhm.
everyone wants to be liked, and I remember telling someone one time, I think they were someone said something to upset them, and I said, if you walk out right now and, like, get hit by lightning or something happens, you've just spent the last 5 minutes of your life focus on
Mhm.
someone who doesn't care about you, rather than focusing on the people who do care about you, and surrounding yourself with, like the positive things. And
Mhm.
again, it's hard to do because we're human, and your brain naturally goes there. But again, I think one of the reasons I started this podcast was to hopefully um, share what is inspiring about people that I've met, and people that I get to interact with. Again, you get to be on the Kona course, you get to do all these things. Ironman brought me you. Ironman brought me Mike Ergo. Ironman brought me all of these people who have made me better, and given me strength throughout whatever. So,
Mhm.
true story.
I appreciate that.
I'm so happy for you. Tell your mom I said hi, because I do believe she reached
Absolutely.
out to me after we did the 2020 chat and said something. And so tell her I said hi.
I
She,
will.
whew, that's the woman that you need to write her story next. Like, she needs to write a book about what it's like to be the mother of Roderick Sewell.
So
Like,
I worked with a ghostwriter. Her name was Karen Hunter, and Karen is she wrote the autobiography for Janet Jackson,
yeah.
and she wrote for LL Cool J. It was probably two of her biggest ones that I recognize. She's done a lot. She's done a lot, but those two are my favorite.
Oh yeah. Because
Um,
ladies love
and
Cool J.
right. So she told me, like, after I told her everything about my mom, after she had a phone call with my mom to get her side of the story, she was like, I would love to do a story about your mom.
Oh yeah.
And she said that my mom's background and history reminded her of like The Color Purple.
Yeah.
If you've seen it, yeah, it's
Yeah, I
very
can see
much
that for
similar.
sure. Hmm.
And also the book reference that my mom, or that Karen mentioned that my mom was similar to, was Viola Davis and her background, her story.
Mm.
Um, so hearing that, I was like, my mom now she's interested. She's like, oh, I'm writing down everything for for the book, the sequel, or I guess
I
it'd be
love
the
it.
prequel because we're going to Marion's story. Um, but yeah, we're it's in the works. I'm trying. I'm
Oh,
trying my
good. That's
best.
a
Yeah,
book I'm buying.
I hope it gets moving. We're focused on this one right now,
Yeah.
but I trust me. I'm the same way. I would rather write about my mom than.
I love it. All right. Once again, this is at Iron Will. It's out August 5th, which this podcast we're taping on Wednesday. What day is it? The 30th. So just a couple of days. Are you nervous?
It's crazy that it's here. I'm trying to shake out the nerves.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I'll do anything I can to promote it. I can't wait to hear it. I'll probably listen to the whole thing because I read most of it. I'll
Mm.
probably listen to it because you did the audio. I saw that you posted that. So when I'm out on one of my 30-minute runs, not my
Oh,
3-hour runs,
right.
I'll listen to it. But you please keep in touch, and really happy for you, man. And I really appreciate all of your time today. And I appreciate you sharing your story and going through whatever it took to go through to get this book into print so that it can inspire so many other people.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me
Okay.
again.
Bye.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Roderick. Once again, don't forget to get his book. August 5th is when it goes on sale, when it's released. Make sure you get it. Also, make sure, just send him a message. I say this every week, but it really goes far. Send him a message. Let him know what you thought about his story and chatting with me. I think he's awesome. I think that came through in the interview. No Kelly today in studio. She had some other things that she had to take care of, but she's going to be back next week. We got Mark Martin on next week. Yes, everybody. I know he's been making some headlines. I did book him before sort of all of the headlines and stuff about the championship and all those things came out of the championship points and how it should be. But we're absolutely going to talk to him about that. And we got him next week. So the Hall of Famer, Mark Martin, will be here next week. But before we go, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I just wrapped up 5 weeks with TNT. I have some pictures of the journey. It started in Atlanta. Right there. We had a rain delay. We had to move up. We literally got into position right there, Jamie Parker and I, with 30 seconds before, maybe a minute before we went on air. So a little bit of a scramble. I had not been on live TV like this in a really long time. Obviously, I've worked with Jamie for a long time. So we'll kind of move through the pictures. Spencer, there's Jamie and Parker and I on the set. It was so awesome. There's Chase. Chase obviously won that race. What a great way to start the 5 races at TNT with Chase getting that victory. It was awesome. And him coming up to the desk and getting to talk to him. So I covered racing from the studio in Fox for a very long time, about 7 or 8 years. I was in studio, and Chris Myers is the guy out in the field. He's the guy that hosts the show on Fox, and he's the host out there. So this is an opportunity that I wasn't necessarily going to get when I was at Fox, and I've now been able to have this opportunity at TNT to be out there, to be in the field, being able to say hello to so many people has been so incredible. We'll continue to move through those pictures. God, there's my gratuitous Bob Pockris picture. Gotta love it when you see Bobby P. Really great dude. I know everybody knows that about Bob. We'll keep going through the pictures, Spencer. You can just move through. Kelly, my makeup artist, who was with me through the entire event. I had her with me in studio for 8 years, so it was awesome to see her with me. Mamba, got to work with him again. Really love Mamba. And again, for people that are listening, I'm going through some pictures. So make sure that you maybe watch this on YouTube so that you can see some of the pictures. Mamba was great to work with. Got to run into Marty Smith, Melinda, and Steve VC, who were my folks at ESPN for a very long time, my producer, my camera guy, and of course, Marty, my teammate in the field in NASCAR. And I think we've got a couple more. Alan Bestwick, my first guest on the Spake Up podcast, got to spend some time with him in Indy, which was awesome. And then we were sitting right next to him when he was calling the entire race. And this is the coolest moment. I'm so glad I got a shot of this. Bubba Wallace getting the victory, which was huge for so many reasons. Yeah, that's Dale Earnhardt Jr., ladies and gentlemen, the Hall of Famer, Steve Letarte, Jamie, and Parker, all of us on the desk. This is a very proud moment for me. I think the world of Bubba. I think, and I've said this before, I think when it's all said and done, he'll be one of the most influential drivers in NASCAR because of what he's done for the sport in terms of moving it forward from a diversity standpoint. And now seeing him win more and get to victory lane is going to be really, really, really great. I got to spend some time with him on the day after, and it was a great conversation. If you haven't seen that, I definitely think you should check it out. You can find it on my YouTube channels as well. But it was a great 5-week span. So many great memories. I can't wait to do it again next year. When the schedule comes out, we'll get to see where we're going to be. It was hot. It was difficult. It was challenging. It was loud. It was all of those things, but it was so awesome and an experience that I'm so glad that I got to have at this point in my career. So thank you, TNT, for that. And thank you for every single person that came up to me in the last 5 weeks and said hello, told me that they love the podcast and all that stuff. So don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Don't forget to reach out to Roderick. I'm sorry that I kept you for so long today. I could have gone so much longer with Roderick, but I know an hour and a half of your time is really long. So I appreciate you guys spending that time with me. And next week, we've got the Hall of Famer, Mark Martin, on. Can't wait for that. See you later. Spake Up Podcast.